Hello, everyone. Before all of us sit down to celebrate the holidays, I would just like to spend a few minutes reminiscing this year for my channel. This year, I was only able to get out 8 reviews versus my 15 last year. The small number this year largely had to do with school, but that's another story which I'm not going into. So, let's talk about each review. The first review of the year was on February 1st, where I would review Space Chickens in Space, of which was previously mentioned in my Final Space Season 1 review last year. And Space Chickens in Space is my first ever review of a show outside of the US. It is not my first review of something outside the US, as that would be Lion and the King, but that was a collab and also last year. Space Chickens in Space is also probably the worst show I've reviewed this year, even though I did review a good episode of the show. In fact, the last time I reviewed a bad episode of something was way back in August 17th of last year, which was of the MLP episode Yakety Sax. A large problem with Space Chickens in Space was my annoyance with all of the screaming, but that doesn't even compare to my annoyance with the previously mentioned Yakety Sax. Later in February, on the 26th, this was of the Milo Murphy's Law Season 2 episode, No Way Out. This review was also my first anniversary special. The review was mostly just an updated version of my review of the show last year, although I probably could have went a bit more in depth with Professor Time being Dr. Doofenshmirtz. I basically only mentioned that the addition of Doofenshmirtz wasn't just pandering to the P and F crowd, in which was what I felt at the time. However, watching more of the season, it didn't feel pandering, but I could definitely tell it was in hope to bring in more views into the show. It actually got fairly annoying for me with Doofenshmirtz, Perry, and other Phineas and Ferb characters popping in so often, because as I mentioned before, I was not a fan of that show. Anyway, I kind of lost interest in MML and never really finished Season 2. Season 2 was a massive downgrade, in my opinion at least. If you like both shows, then you'll probably enjoy it though. My third review of this year was uploaded on March 24th and was of the Loud House episode Racing Hearts. This review is now my most popular review and has recently reached 1K views, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Because Sam has yet to appear in the show again, I don't really have anything to add to the review, but I did make a reference to Stageplight at the end. I actually think Stageplight was a slightly better episode than Racing Heart. However, I wouldn't call it my favorite. I'll give Sam this. She is a much better character than Benny. Benny is basically just nice and steals the puppet thing from Luann. That's about it whenever it comes to his character. And I seriously cannot get over his voice. It's just an annoying voice and sounds fake, but I've learned it's actually the voice actor's real voice. So I'll try not to be mean about it, especially considering my voice is nothing to write home about. Speaking of things that really blew up though, after my Racing Hearts review, I re-uploaded my Kid Danger review for the third time. And not only did it actually stay up for this time, but it also became my third most popular review for a while. However, it has since been passed up by my reviews of 12 Forever, True in the Rainbow Kingdom, and Jimmy Neutron. My next review, uploaded on May 10th, was a 20th anniversary special for Family Guy, as I took a look at the pilot episode, Death Has a Shadow. However, I wrote this review last year whenever I planned on reviewing every episode of Family Guy. I have since decided against that, but I am still glad I was able to get that out for you guys. This review is actually my shortest of the year, clocking in at a little under 5 minutes, so if you haven't yet, go check it out. My fifth review was uploaded on July 13th and was of the Star vs. Forces of Evil finale episode, Cleave. This was my first ever series finale review of a show and is very spoilery, and I wouldn't recommend checking it out unless you have finished watching every episode of the show. If you would like to see me review something Star related, then watch my first ever made review of Lava Lake Beach. It's pretty dated and not the highest quality, but it is only slightly spoilery. Anyway, in my Cleaved review, I linked a fan-made petition for a 5th season of Star. Now, I don't actually think petitions work or really even want a 5th season, but I included it for those of you wishing to sign it. Okay, before I start spoiling things, let's talk about my 6th review of the year. Uploaded July 27th, was another 20-year anniversary special, this time in celebration of SpongeBob SquarePants. In this review, I talked about my personal history and memories with SpongeBob, as well as my favorite episode of the series, Chocolate with Nuts. This is probably also my favorite review of mine and the best episode I reviewed this year, in my opinion at least. If you like SpongeBob, I recommend checking out my Chocolate with Nuts review. Up next is number 7, uploaded on September 9th, and is of the previously mentioned 12 Forever review, where I took a look at the second episode, The Butt Witch Forever. This review was in development for a while and sort of started my lag at the end of the year, but it is definitely one of my better reviews and is now my third most popular review, of which I think it deserves. I then re-uploaded my review of Our Cartoon President because of copyright. I don't really have anything to say about it though. It's an alright review, nothing that wrong with it. Finally, I uploaded my Final Space Season 2 review on December 14th, of which is my final review of 2019 and of the decade as a whole. Not a lot to say about this one either, but it is a bit spoilery. This was a pretty good year for my channel, despite me uploading less reviews. I think the quality of my videos have improved. I do have a lot planned for next year and the decade as a whole. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go celebrate the holidays. But before I go, I would like to thank all of you for your support over the channel over these past 2 years. If this is your first time watching, please consider subscribing. But most importantly, I want all of you to have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I hope to see you all next year.